Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Now that we're done with all the election stuff pretty much. Yeah, they're recounting things. That's a given. But as it stands, I guess they're going to be doing that for a little bit until people do it in a timely fashion. Anyway, we're going to go on to some new subjects until something else is perking up. But I think the Earth's full of a lot of mysteries, and they've got a excuse the thing there. They've got a lot of shows coming on here for the fall. One of them I've been following for a while is the Oak Island situation, and I'd like to put in my opinion about, I guess, upon it. I have done a lot of global research. I'm not a star archaeologist or a star researcher or a PhD of any freaking thing. Okay, just I'm looking in between the lines what scientists and researchers and other things have put to surface, but I'm seeing in between the lines of what they even found. I don't know if any of people have seen many shows, but I have actually gone on Google Earth and looked into the placement of Oak Island and other sacred sites or ancient civilizations throughout the Earth, and how it basically connects together almost on a grid work similar to the sacred geometry system. It also lines up with the stars back in the day, but as time progresses forward from way back in the day, our star systems and astrology does not match these sacred sites because of the Earth wobble, for one. Number two, the time charts have changed according to the stars to current timing. Many of you may not know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe at a further date I'll go into some of my other videos, but I like talking about things like this because I find interesting topics like this to talk about. But anyway, here we have a picture of Oak Island, which is all this right here, and you'll see the Oak Island show coming up and starting in November of 2018. I guess it's into their 6th season. But if you do any research with Google Earth up in that area, that is in Canada, Nova Scotia area. And I'm just going to put this in front of you briefly here. Hopefully you'll see it. I'm going to check my camera here and make sure that you do. Alright, yeah. So right down here in this little teeny spot right down above my finger there is Oak Island. Now, if you notice in that region, I'm going to close the map a little bit. You can see how many islands are all strewn in this area of Nova Scotia, which is like Cheshire area of Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia is part of Canada. Again, above my finger right there is Oak Island. If you look at past civilizations and maps and everything, you'll notice how interesting time has it with these different islands where pirate ships and other things have come across that area, and so on and so forth. Or other areas like in the Florida Keys and Florida area and so on and so forth. I'm going to close this up even further, but you can see the whole shoreline is just loaded with all kinds of different types of islands, and it's all along the coastline. It's not just here in Nova Scotia, but other areas. Anyway, if you take this and basically match it up and put on your Google Earth and put a line and draw a line from this to, let's say, another archaeological site, you match everything up on the Earth, it's almost like an ancient grid work. They call it sacred geometry. It looks like a big web, like a spider web, and it pinpoints areas of origin of energy, and when it's all connected together, it's like basically having a huge electrical company all throughout the Earth, using Earth's natural energies of the magnetism and everything that's going on with Earth to energize the Earth. And this is through all my past studies. But also too, I came across this one video which I thought was kind of interesting. She was a very good storyteller, I'll tell you that. But it was on YouTube, and you guys can check it out for yourself for what it's worth. If you like a good story, it's a good thing to listen to. If you're doing any kind of research with Oak Island, that's another thing to listen to as well. There is some key points in here. But this is the name of the video. It's Reincarnated Child Seeks the Treasure he left on Oak Island as a Knights Templar. And this is a lady that's basically using it as, I guess, a dark web or something, and she's not revealing who she is or the child or the family, but they're very well off. And I kind of think it's kind of interesting. I listened to the whole thing. It's kind of interesting to listen to. But something that kind of brought to my attention here, you see Knights Templar in the 1300. Okay, I don't know if you guys see that. Let me see if you guys caught that. Okay, but if you look there on that, there is a book out called The Last President 1300, I think it was, or 1800. I think there's some correlation going on there. I'm going to do some further research on that. And they're talking about a rich family, a rich child, and so on and so forth. And it kind of has the same correlation according to this book as well, which I think is kind of interesting. So I will talk more about that in a minute if I can. If not, I'll have to take that into another video. By the way, if you like what you see or you want to hear more of what I have on my stories, click to subscribe and you'll get the latest updates. And pass my link on to friends and so on. Alright, let's see here. So, yeah, so here we have like the Tourism Society here of Oak Island, where they have their own website and they're talking about everything on Oak Island. Things that they found, people that they're talking to and about, items that they might have found, and their curse and maps and so on and so forth. But it's all pretty interesting to check all that out, as well as I've actually got contact with one of them on Twitter that I talked to. And Marty and his brother there are from Michigan, and that's my back of the woods where I'm from as well. So I can relate to what's going on because myself, and my father have done our own little kind of treasure hunting up in Michigan with artifacts. We got into antique dealing and other things, but that's for another time and date on that too. Anyway, so yeah, they're going to be starting a new episode here in November of 2018 on Oak Island, and supposedly in this year they're supposed to find the treasure or find the gold, just like every year they're finding things, but they keep running into problems on their drilling and other problems with the situation. So you guys can check into that website here, and it's not behaving itself too well, but yeah, you guys can check that out. And then, yeah, pardon my mess as I'm doing all this. So this is basically what they think is down in the hole. Okay, this page happens to be the Trumpet web page, and they're talking about the electrifying part of it, of why it's so important to bring back to Jerusalem, why there's a warning on it and for people not to look at it. You look at other different technologies in the past and present. There's been different types of ancient technologies as well as new technologies, and as well as the show Ancient Aliens also talks about this as well. So here's my take. Yes, it is a holy artifact. I look at everything. Here's the one clue in the Bible that kind of explodes everything out of the water. In the Bible it says, through me all things are possible. That's in the Bible, in most all Bibles except for, I don't know, Eastern Bibles, I guess, or Eastern holy text. But most holy texts are saying that in the West of that. Yes, the Bible's made up of stories. Yes, it has many veils of information and knowledge. But that one phrase basically is the key to unlock the whole Bible and to unlock the whole sacred text situation and to unlock the knowledge of everything. I don't know if Marty or any of the other guys there from Oak Island are listening to me on this, but in the Bible it basically says, through me, through me all things are possible, or all things are possible through me. Okay? That's your key. Now you're trying to find the keyhole to put it in. Okay? And that's why you're looking for this. So, in the Bible, it basically says that these archangels are basically like the guardian of the box, of the covenant. Okay, and inside the box is supposed to be not only the 10 Commandments, but a jar of manna. Now, the jar of manna has been broken down into other TV shows like Ancient Aliens, other sacred text, in the Oak Island situation, many web pages, and so on and so forth. Basically, it's supposed to be the holiest of holiest of holiest of holiest. Okay? Which is an energy, a divine energy. Okay? Now, you got to think now and keep your open mind. And even though you study the Bible, if it says, through me all things are possible, or all things possible are through me, okay? Me, let's say, being that manna, okay, which is representing, let's say, and I'm just throwing this out there, who's to say they already know God is not of this earth? Jesus just came down, but God is not of this earth. That God created the heavens, the earth, the galaxy, and so on. So, God's essence could be the manna in the bottle, or in the jar, they say. Okay? And if that is so, then it doesn't, it's not of this world. So if it, like you saw like in past movies and stuff, they give you clues on things, but no one is supposed to look at this because it will cause death or damage you, So if you do, that will happen. But if you don't, then you'll be fine. And even the highest of highest keepers, and they will call them, gatekeepers or keepers of the Lost Ark or whatever, those people, there's only one person that actually is guarding this on the inside of where the Ark is. There's been a story where in Africa, in Ethiopia, in a cave, that they have found this and it had to be covered, that it couldn't be looked at, and that it had to be placed in the temple. Now, if you look at your past civilization and past history on this, it's been where another covenant was actually made, and then they made another one. And this was, I guess, the second one right now that they're trying to find. And the first one was there was the real stuff in it, but they transfer it into this second one, which is the one that we're looking at kind of right now, kind of thing. The Ethiopian one has a different top on it. Okay, but this one here is the current, I believe, at the moment. And anytime, this has been connected in past history with Knights Templar and so on. I'm sure the Vatican knows exactly where this is. In their library, it has many interesting things in it, to say the least. But pardon me a minute while I had to get a drink. Anyway, so looking through all this and tons of research, and I do all kinds of research throughout the globe since 1980. And more stronghold after 82, 84. But they believe this Ark of the Covenant is down in the hole of Oak Island. Now, if you saw last year's dive, at the end, I think it was a second, third, or last episode of last season of 2017, I think it was, or 2018 there, towards the June, July, I don't remember when their last episodes were. But anyway, you would see underwater like a wing right here. Now, when these things are hidden of high importance, of either high power, high importance, or high value, they're always booby-trapped. Always. Unless it's like a mistake, like a sunken ship that hit a coral reef, and then, like Mel Fisher, then it happens to be where it is, and then over years of time it gets covered up. And then archaeologists or sea people will go down there and get it and pull it up. This is not one of those situations. This has been purposely placed with advanced technology at the time of placing this, so that no one would ever find it until our technology and our knowledge level was high enough to find it. And I'm saying this because of, if there is a jar of manna inside this, I don't believe in the actual Ark itself would survive if it was made of glass or clay or any materials of that sort, because of the pressure. Even though it might be made out of wood, the pressure over time from all elements would have deteriorated the box naturally, okay, and it would have crushed that glass jar, bottle, or whatever, unless it was made of something heavy duty that could withstand any pressures and any kind of corrosion, and so on. Now, being that this is a high supreme level of energy, it is extremely possible that it has its own self-protectant, how do I say it, like a protective zone around the whole box, as well as a protective zone around the manna jar that's inside and contents. I have read the Book of Enoch as one example, and in that book it is possible that with high holiness they can protect things. Okay, I'll put it that way in layman's terms. Scientifically wise, manna, the jar itself, could be, since if you look at it, it could actually kill you or blind you. To me, means that it could be radioactive, or some kind of chemical reaction of corrosion high enough, kind of like a either an energy weapon type thing, or a chemical kind of compound that could mix. and do that same thing to you. Since I'm reading this and doing the research, I don't think it would be anything chemical. I honestly really do think it would be something of some kind of radiation situation, a high level. And that's my 2 cents worth, scientifically wise. Otherwise, religiously wise, the components being that of a high holiness type of energy, can be self-sustaining too as well, and can have ill effects on the people that are a non-believer kind of thing, and those people that do look at it can get damage from their eyes or from the essence of it in their bodies as well, looking at it. No person on earth has that type of clearance on any form of government or local type person. There's only a small selected few in the earth, around, or not in the earth, but around the earth, that can contain that high-end holiness, and is able to deal with that, but are selected for it only. And I'm not talking about the Knights Templar or any situation of that sort. So yeah, anyway, you can read this article on the trumpet here, Finding the Ark, and it tells about different passages, and when it was moved around, where it was moved around, time period wise, as well as related to passages on the Bible as well. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is that might have some answers on this is the keepers of the Lost Ark. I'll make sure you're all there. Yeah, okay. Is keepers of the Lost Ark. So, this, in that video that I gave you guys earlier here on, to look in YouTube at that one lady in the video there, she does talk about this. And yes, this is the Knights Templar. Now, you guys got to understand something. All through the earth, the Knights Templar has moved this treasure constantly, over and over and over throughout the earth. And any time that they felt like it was going to get in harm's way, they'd move it again. Okay? Now, many of these, you can go ahead and read in this article all the way down, but it basically tells who the keepers were, how they moved it around, and so on. This is at the Smithsonian.com, and the name of the article is Keepers of the Lost Ark, if you read that article. But here's the thing. Again, if you're a keeper of the Lost Ark, it's got to be, there's extreme guidelines to be and to qualify to be a keeper of this ark, first of all. Second of all, going back to the Oak Island situation, let me see if I can pull it up. Here we go. Going back to the Oak Island situation, it is possible they could put it there, but why that island? Say, and I find it's interesting because yes, it's connected to the Freemasons, it's connected to the Knights Templar, but here's the other thing. It's a shape of an elephant. Okay, what political party has a shape of an elephant? And we had a past president go there too. Okay, so to me, if this is going to be a treasure hunt for the Freemasons and the Templars, I don't feel that it would be a I think this would be more of a treasure hunt because from other stuff that I've seen connecting the lines to Florida with treasure hunts with pirates and so on, I think this is one of those pirate sites right here. I think Oak Island has been hit several times. I feel that there's something right here that a pirate has left behind. I know on the property where slave has left things as well here. Also think right here, a pirate has left things, a pirate has left things here, and over here towards the butt end. Here's the way pirates do treasures. They do treasures on the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, always. Biggest thing that pirates like to hide in is coves. Coves, nooks, and crannies. So we have a little thing right here of water that could have been a cove that they put stuff in. Same thing in this area right here where an actual ship could have gone through. I believe Oak Island was two separate pieces of island. There's a narrow passage to go through both. And this was the thicker part down here. So I believe some might have spilled off of a ship here. But they like nooks and crannies. And when they did stuff, pirates would always do things and actually bury things by how many footsteps to the north, south, east, and west. And yes, they did use compasses back in the day. So they would go by how many footsteps to the north, how many footsteps to the east, and so on and so forth. That's one of their versions. The other version is they would also, if there was unique signature of trees, okay, like over here, there might have been a unique signature of trees, okay, unique signature of trees around here, over back in here, and so on. And if they're in a hurry to dump their treasure, let's say someone was following them, let's say it was England trying to recover their treasure and they're behind them, let's say, because pirates always stole each other's type treasures. They would have another ship behind them, and then they don't want to go inland too far to dump their treasure, but they want it concealed really good where they would think the English people would think going more inland, and it's more around the coastal area. So that's my take on that part, that I think this is just another one of those treasure islands, but also don't overlook the idea, because this is not the only stop, okay, for treasures. But if we can go back to my other map here, if I can find it. Here we go, okay. That going back to this other one here where Oak Island is right here. Let's see if you guys can see that. I'll put my other thing up so I can, yeah. So Oak Island is right there above my finger. You got to remember, there's other unique islands up here. This place is going to be loaded with treasure. Not just Oak Island, but all these other islands. Okay, because they have the same signature as the Caribbean Virgin Islands. Okay, so for example, this one way down here, it looks like an upside down, if you turn it this way, it looks like a, I don't know, like a wine glass. Okay, I don't know what island do they call this one here. This one's called Sam's Island and Crowbar Island. Okay, if you look at this example, this one here, okay, is the same kind of way that Oak Island formed. It was like a big side of it first, and then there's a little side of it, and if you see in between, there's really fine kind of sandbar, but you can still, there's water over the whole thing, so you can get a ship over it. Well, that's what happened with Oak Island, see? Okay, so this one here on Sam's Island is just another one of those things. Now look at this one over here. It looks like a whale, like Moby Dick, okay? Here. I'll turn it around this way. You can look at it a different way. But that's called Daniel's Island. And then there's another little dinky island there. See, I don't know if you guys see that. You see that? Okay. Now, I'm going to go over further. And those islands, by the way, are south of Oak Island, I guess. Then there's another one called Mash Island. That looks like a teardrop. Okay? See, this is the way all these islands formed in this region, where there's two separate sides. So a ship could very easily go through Oak Island and then get stuck or something happen, or park there and abandon, you know. There's another one here. It looks Squid Island. Then this one here is really interesting. Apple Island. See, but it looks to me like a spoon. See? I guess you've seen that. Okay. And then there's another one here called Frog Island. Looks like maybe a dog or something. Maybe there's frogs on it. That's why they called it that. And then there's another one here towards the north. It looks like a little square called Big Island and then Little Island. Okay. And then... okay, those are going more inland. Alright, so then to the... I think it's to the west here. We got Little Goose Island and Big Fish Island and Clay Island and Birch Island. Now, Birch Island looks really interesting. I don't know if you guys see that, but you see that right there? That's a triangle. That's the exact same kind of triangle that Oak Island had. Let me go back to Oak Island. You guys can look at that one. Okay? Here's Oak Island. See the triangle right there? It gives me a clue that the island was broken in half. It's possible that a ship came through, and it's possible it could have broken and started their own reef there and then developed. Okay? Now let's go back to the other one. I'll show you that one. I don't know who owns this one, but that one looks very, very good. I think to me, if I started digging, I would want to dig here to Birch Island. Because I'm looking at all this around here, and it looks like it's all been formed by rock. It has the same marsh value as Oak Island. Shores look all the same, but here's the interesting part on this too. As I'm looking around the shores here, we've got some interesting, now look at that. I don't know if you guys see that right there. Here's I dropped my pin on it. 44 degrees, 30 degrees, 36 north by 64, 15, 11 west. If you look right off the shore of that pinpoint right there, it almost looks like a pirate's face in there. Let me pull my finger down so you guys can see it. But if you look right above my finger, you guys can do your own thing on that too. But check that out. It looks like an actual, you know, thing underneath there. But I think that's really interesting because there's also some white area around here too, which tells me it looks like it breached right in here to the marsh. So I'd be looking into that area myself. And then if you look on this side here of the west, I'm seeing from here all the way down around here larger stones, and larger stones also give me the indication that something was maybe man-made. There's something right there too, but I'm not sure. Alright, and then so Birch Island would be high on my list, and it's, if you can see right here is Birch Island. Okay, if you need the directions on Birch Island, let me see. Birch Island would be 44, 30, 36 north to 64, 15, 07 west. That's your Birch Island location. And if you can see the difference here, here's Oak Island right here, and not too far away down there is your Birch Island. Okay, so that's why I would say behind my prospecting list here. And then we got Big Fish Island. And then another interesting thing right from, let me see, because I'm looking at the alignment. Can you see what I'm looking at here, guys? I don't know if I can get this right where you guys can see it or not. Let me see. But right here, 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 and here is like 4 different islands in a row. Now, that's an interesting placement, but what's really interesting is this here. Okay, so if we looked at everything in the middle, Clay Island, okay, that's interesting. Big Island. That one was Birch Island. Okay, so Okay, here we go. Oh, I just saw something. Here we go. So I'm trying to completely flip it around. Okay, so here we're going to look at Oak Island right there, and then all these other islands. I don't know if you guys see if you see what I see, but I'm going to decode it right now in front of your face for the first time ever in history. But Oak Island and all these other islands are lined like a cross. Do you see this? So we got Oak Island and all them over here, but Birch Island flipped upside down is right here, where my finger is. That is the head of the cross. To me, you've got a bunch of islands here and a bunch of here. If anything, it's going to be right there. Okay? That's flipped down. And if you guys find treasure on there, I want my 10% because I'm telling you, you guys are going to find something there. And my name is Cheryl here with the channel. And if it comes true, you guys, well, I'll find you if you don't find me. But anyway, so yeah. And that's really interesting because this goes right into Nova Scotia shore. So who is this down here? Little Fish Island. Okay, this goes right into Half Moon Cove. Very interesting. Half Moon Cove is also a thing for like crescent moon. And a lot of astrologists actually look at moon cycles according to astrological events happening on Earth here. And then we got Merritt's Cove. So even Half Moon Cove looks very interesting. So they actually lined it up with Half Moon Cove. That's very interesting. So, okay. So if you see this, okay, and I'm going to move it back up and out here. So we have a stray of islands here and here. Natural coincidence? I don't know. Man-made? I don't know. But what I do know is that Oak Island is here, and also your head of the islands here is Birch Island. It has the same signature as the other one. Now, let me see here. We're going to flip this puppy back over and see if I can see anything else on this. Because you got to think that Freemasons and Templars and other civilizations, ancient civilizations, can write in different types of wording and stuff like this. I don't know, do you guys see that? That's a shoe. Now, a shoe can interpretate different things in different civilizations, hieroglyphic wise, even in Egypt and so on, and this is a spoon, and so on and so forth. But we'll go into that later for those that may not know none of that. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, watch the Oak Island situation, and starting in November, let's see what they can uncover. But I'm gonna say that Oak Island is not gonna be where they're gonna find the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, they're gonna probably find some gold, and they're gonna find silver, and they're gonna find jewels and stuff like that. It might be from England, some from Ireland, some from maybe a Templar treasure, because here's the thing, they're going to leave behind things for people to find to keep them there and keep them away from the real truth of where it is. Okay, and the reason is it's not really a trap, but like a diversion. So Oak Island is going to be a diversion, and so they'll have maybe pirates' treasure there, because I can see that can be very highly possible for that. Or they could actually, honestly, I mean, here's the other big thing. You guys can check out the other islands and see if you guys find anything. And I mean anything, whether it's a belt buckle, whether it's a trinket, whether it's a coin, a jewel, piece of jewelry, whatever, on these other islands. I can almost guarantee you're going to find something. My high probability of it on all those, if you go to all those joining islands, like I said, Pardon me here. Let's go back to this. But if you go, and I'm flipping this puppy back upside down so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. If I can pop it out right. Let me go back to this. But I believe this whole area is going to be a diversion area. Okay? And here's Oak Island right here. Above my finger. Sorry. Okay? I don't know if you guys see that. But above my finger is Oak Island. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe a dozen type of islands all here. All these dozen of islands, if someone took a boat to all these different islands that worked on that one same research team, they will all find something on these islands. And it's the reason of diversion, because what they're trying to avoid is you guys going to Birch Island. So they're trying to avoid you from going to Birch Island. And so what they're going to do is they're going to lay down a bunch of little trinkets on all these different areas here. Now, let me see something. I told you about that one cove, right, which is Half Moon Cove here. So we got this over here, over here. Yes, Half Moon Cove. If you take it and do the thing on Google Earth where you take a line from Half Moon Cove down here and go straight, it lines up to Birch Island and all these other islands in between. Okay, now where you're going to find the stuff, any kind of valuables or trinkets or historical crap, would have to follow within the lines of all this straight through. So even Clay Island too. Okay. But here's the other thing. They want to lay some on these other islands for a certain reason. And some islands will have cheaper trinkets than other islands. Other islands will have more expensive ones. The ones that have the more expensive ones are a stronger decoy from the real thing. The ones that have the least amount by it will be stronger on the area. If you can understand, it's kind of like using reverse psychology. I believe that's what they did. So Oak Island has a strong one for the simple reason they want this further away apart from the actual situation. So where that red pin is on there, I don't know if you guys can see that. I know I'm moving around too much here. Let me see. There we go. Alright. So where that red pin is where that one island is of Birch Island. Okay. So the further away from that red dot is where you're going to find the stronger of treasure. I'll put it that way. So using reverse psychology. So the ones that are really close to it, okay, like Clay Island, okay, that one would have probably stronger elements. And now I'm going to get a close-up on Clay Island here. See, that looks like a perfect little jungle to hide stuff in. There is some wornability here and some areas of round patchiness inside it, and it'd be hard for you to actually look at it on a visual in a plane above the whole thing to actually check out anything. But here's an interesting thing. There's a round thing in the ocean right there off of Clay Island there. There's another one there. Okay, not sure what it is. There's also another big stone right there, looks like. And interesting. So to me, if you put lines together, that would actually make a triangle right here. And then it'd either be a pointer to the right of me on this, which would point to, let me look, the next island over, or Oak Island. So this would be an actual clue of a treasure hunt kind of thing. But yeah, alright, so let me see what direction that might pinpoint needle-wise for an actual thing. So, okay. Okay, so there it is right there. Oh, interesting. Yeah, all these islands, I would have to say, they would have to be checked out, because I think what the Templars did is they left clues with, well, I know they did. They left clues, I'm not saying I think, I know they did. They left clues basically to know what island to go to next for the next clue kind of thing, for those who lost their sacred map of where the treasure is. Same thing with pirates. Pirates can do the same thing. So yeah, and as you can see, just in this little, let me put you back here, sorry. If you can see in this whole cove area, there's tons of islands. Some are big, some are inhabited, some are commercialized. But if you take Google Map and take a red string pin type thing on it and connect all these up, I think you'll be amazed at what you'll find. And then the clues that set from one island to another island, it's like island hopping clues kind of situation. So anyway, okay, so that's my 2 cents. I know I've talked probably an hour, almost as long as the show, but we'll come back again if I find something else new and interesting on it. But check out those other videos and see what you find as well. And if you like what you see and you want more information on it, or we want to talk more about Oak Island, I can do that too. But I've done research, and a lot of other people have done research, and it's kind of interesting what you find. But anyway, so take care, stay safe, and if you like what you see, click to subscribe, and we'll discuss something else another time. Alright, until next time.